Hey guys, Bill here with World Made Simple, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. And that is because I kind of wanted to start these little kind of, for lack of a better term, spin-off or side series where I do one-offs looking into kind of different topics that I find fun and that I've heard from either you guys or from some friends of mine asking, well, why don't we do this or that, or why is this or that a thing? That I don't think should be in a full video series, or it doesn't have a news segment, but it has something where it's just kind of fun to talk about. And today we're going to talk about the Battleship. So there's actual talk in the United States Navy about bringing back something like the Battleship. Now, when I say bringing back the Battleship, I don't necessarily mean bringing back the current battleships we have, like the Iowa class battleships. Not going to happen, simply because they're so old that you really can't use them anymore. The kind of ship that the Navy wants now is a ship that is capable of sustaining long-term combat support along the shoreline and is able to take quite a few hits. And the main reason for that is due to the fact that the US Navy doesn't have what's called sustained bombardment anymore, and we'll talk about what that is in a second, and also due to the emerging threat of drone warfare. Currently, our radars and our ship defense systems can only track up to a certain number of incoming aircraft and missiles to go ahead and intercept them. That's how our missile systems work. When you throw 2, 3, 400 drones, cheap mass-producible drones at our ships, or at anybody's ships for that matter, it's very hard for these ships to be able to counter them in that way based on our current systems and technologies. Our Arleigh Burkes, which are our current mainline ship, the Arleigh Burke class, is a fantastic warship. However, against weapons like mass-used drones, it might be struggling to hold its own if they're throwing over 100 of them at it, simply because of the sheer volume. 100 of anything's a lot to take care of. So the Arleigh Burke might not be able to hit everything coming in, and on top of that, the Arleigh Burke might not be able to survive multiple hits from these drones. They do have great damage support systems. They have their crews very well trained, but there's only so much damage that a smaller ship of around 10,000 tons can take. So they do have defenses, they do have good systems, but they're not built to take a beating. Our carriers are. However, if you go ahead and put a hole in the flight deck of a carrier, you kind of lose the whole purpose of a carrier. So until that hole's patched up, you can't land planes, you can't launch planes, which means that our carriers can take a beating, but they're not supposed to. So we don't have a kind of a middle line ship for that. Our cruisers might be doing kind of a middle line on that, but they're being retired right now. They're set to be gone within the next, I think by 2050, all of our cruisers will be retired. That means that we have to come up with something new in the meantime. Battleships fill that role where they can take one heck of a beating because of their sheer size. You have a 10,000 ton ship being our destroyers versus a 60,000 ton ships like our Iowa class. Iowa classes are able to take one heck of a beating because of their sheer size and the amount of armor they have. Additionally, bigger ship means more defensive systems. Instead of 2 phalanx weapons, which is what we use to take out most small incoming targets once they get past inside missile range, you have like maybe up to 10 or 12 spread across the ship, which offer a much better defensive screen. You also are able to put a much bigger power plant in there, so you can power our upcoming laser defense systems like our Laws system and Helios, so you can actually use lasers efficiently. Our Arleigh Burkes are not designed to support laser systems. They're trying, but currently the energy output is just too much. So against drones, they offer a better weapons platform, a better power platform, and overall just a more durable platform. So with that being said, the other reason is sustained bombardment. Going back to our Arleigh Burkes, the Arleigh Burkes have one single 5-inch gun. The 5-inch gun that they use is fantastic, pretty good range, and sometimes it actually packs as much punch as the old battleship guns. So 5-inch versus the old 16-inch, and our 5-inch today is able to go ahead and hold its own. But its missile load is primarily Tomahawks, and Tomahawks are fantastic weapons. They're pinpoint, they're accurate, and they can take out a large area. But you use them and they're done. They're not like the 5-inch gun where you can constantly reload it, which means that our ships are primarily limited by the amount of missiles that they carry. We at max can carry around 70-ish Tomahawks. They don't. because they have additional other missile types that they're thrown in there. So let's assume that you have 30 missiles. Once you use all those missiles, that's it. You have the 5-inch, but you really do not want to be that in close with that ship. The Arleigh Burkes, as we said, we don't want to expose them to a ton of incoming enemy ordnance if possible. Back when we were fighting terrorist organizations for almost the entirety of the 21st century, this worked really, really well. What we're doing against Yemen right now, it's very effective. Our destroyers have been very effective in protecting the Straits of Hormuz and going, sorry, not the Straits of Hormuz, the Horn of Africa, and keeping the trade moving in and out of the Red Sea. But when it comes to ground-based operations, if we were to throw the Marines onto, let's say, the shores of Taiwan to help them out, and to go ahead and, let's say, for some odd reason, we have to fight a near-peer adversary, Russia or China, we don't necessarily know if we have the, I guess, parking ability, keeping a ship off the shoreline continuously to provide bombardment. Back during World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Gulf War, we had that with the presence of the battleships. I mean, Korea physically would not sign the armistice to go ahead and have the ceasefire until the battleships left. They're a huge psychological and military presence. So, in short, between the rise of drones and the need for having kind of a bombardment, a sustained bombardment for protection purposes, you don't really have a whole lot of resources the U.S. Navy currently has on board their ships to deal with that. We're developing systems, they're not there yet, which is why the battleship's being thrown around. Now, do I think that we're going to see big gun warships floating around anytime soon? No. To be honest, I think that they're probably to go and retrofit a new destroyer design with some of these enhanced systems to counteract these drones and slowly phase the Arleigh Burkes out. I don't really see the battleship coming back. Would it be great and awesome? Would I love to see those ships back in service? Yes. It's just not realistic, sadly. All right, so that's our first little segment on these. If you guys want to see more videos like this, let me know. Otherwise, see you in our regularly scheduled programming.